Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are from the state of Nevada, the Division of Water Resources, and inside of that, we are the Nevada Floodplain Management Program. Some of us are here today to talk to you a little bit about what it is that we do. So this is the whole section that makes up the Nevada Floodplain Program. And I am Erin Warnock, the Floodplain Manager and the National Flood Insurance Program Coordinator. My predecessor is Bunny Bishop, who is now the Chief of Water Planning and Drought Resiliency, which the Floodplain Management Group is under. We also have today Sarah Fickner, who's our Floodplain Mapping Coordinator, Carlos Rendo, our Public Outreach Manager, and also part of our team is Kayla Meyer, the Flood Program Specialist. So the goal of our program is to create flood-resilient communities in Nevada that encourage the protection of life, property, water quality, environmental values, and the preservation of natural floodplain functions. So this goes along very much so with the Nevada Division of Water Resources motto and goal, which is to protect the waters in the state that belong to the people. But this is just in the sense of flooding, so to help protect the people from those waters in Nevada when a flood occurs. So these are some facts about the National Flood Insurance Program. We have 35 participating communities. One of those communities is Douglas County. So what that means is these communities have adopted an ordinance that allows the people who live in those communities to enroll in the National Flood Insurance Program. So our total policies in Nevada are about 12,346. The average policy premium is $675. The average building coverage is almost $260,000. And losses paid since 1978 are 1,777. I'd also like to note that this is data from 2017, so it may vary a little bit differently now. So we have some disaster declarations in Nevada, and some of those include floods, major floods that have happened in Nevada. So since 1955, Nevada has received 18 presidential disaster declarations for flooding. In 2017, this included several counties, but it did include Douglas County and Washoe Tribe of Nevada and California. And in 1997, flooding caused approximately $55 million in damage in Douglas County alone. These here are the tiers of what our program is, what our job is, what we follow along from FEMA, so the Federal Emergency Management Agency, what we promise to do for them for our state. So we support local floodplain managers through trainings and workshops. You have a local floodplain manager in Douglas County. So we support them by having a partnership with them, talking to them, and providing trainings for them and all of the floodplain managers throughout the state. We also provide National Flood Insurance Program and flood hazard mapping coordination and support. So we will support projects that establish new flood maps so that data can be more accurate for going off of if you need insurance or not, if you're in that flood zone or not. And we support local hazard mitigation planning and projects. So we'll get into that later, but there are some projects like that going on in Douglas County to help mitigate floods or flood and flood response. So, and we also provide technical assistance. If you are to reach out to me or if the floodplain managers are to reach out to me with questions, that would be providing technical assistance. There are also community assistance visits. So we perform these with all of those participating communities. Every about 5 years or so, we'll come and we'll visit that community just to ensure that they are upholding that ordinance that they adopted in order to stay in good standing with enrolling with the National Flood Insurance Program. These are our partners that we work with that really make a lot of our projects possible and some of that outreach that we do. It's been challenging this year with COVID, but it really allows us to expand and be able to do things we wouldn't normally be able to do just as the state alone. Douglas County is one of our partners. River Wranglers, you may know of them. They have a presence in Douglas County. They are some of our partners, along with the other ones that you see here. So the Nevada Silver Jackets is a program made up of several different partners. The people who run that are the federal government, so the Army Corps. They are in charge of the Silver Jackets, but there are state-led teams, so I'm in charge of the Nevada Silver Jackets. And then we also have, like I showed you in the previous slide, all those partners kind of come together to make things happen. So Douglas County, we've got a project going on right now, flood warning and response. We've got some story maps for the Carson River watershed, so that includes some history and all kinds of facts about the rivers and flooding history as well in those. And then dam safety and emergency action plan outreach, so providing some support to dam owners about how to create emergency action plans, and then support to the public on what to do in the event of an emergency and how to work with your emergency managers. And then continued support for Flood Awareness Week. This is a Flood Awareness Week event right now. Flood Awareness Week this year is November 14th through the 20th. So every year we have a Nevada Flood Awareness Week, and they make all these cool events happen throughout the week. So the project that's going on in Douglas County, there are some 2D mapping going on. So that's a type of mapping to analyze potential flooding and just to help Douglas County be prepared for those types of events and to reduce their flooding risk. And as I mentioned, we had some trainings, or we provide trainings to our to our local floodplain managers. And we recently had trainings in October and September on elevation certificates, and along with some National Flood Insurance Program basics. In December, we will be having how to prepare for a CAV. So that is the community assistance visit from the local floodplain manager side. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Sarah Fickner, our floodplain mapping coordinator.
All right, thank you, Erin. This first slide here are the areas where the Nevada Division of Water Resources Flood Group works with the Division of Emergency Management to help communities prepare for the next flood and also recover from the last one. Pre-flood work includes mitigation plans at the local and state levels, as well as mitigation grants. This includes the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities grants, and the Flood Mitigation Assistance grants. Post-flood work involves participating in post-disaster assessments, or PDAs, with the State Assessment and Response Team. Next slide, please. So we attend local hazard mitigation planning update meetings, to participate at the local level. And that includes things like, tabletop exercises, and like I mentioned on the last slide, assistance with grant applications. So we're here to be a resource to Nevada's communities. We communicate with our federal partners, such as FEMA, state partners, and DEM, local communities, that includes the counties and cities, and with individuals where it is safe to build and help with access to flood insurance. I'm still new in my position, but any questions you have within this process, I can help you find answers. Next slide, please. Hazard mitigation is only as effective as the people behind it. Without good communication between each link in this chain, there cannot be an understanding of the needs of each community. The NDWR group, flood group, works to educate people on resources available for mitigation and recovery. A significant portion of our time is spent on outreach and education to help people understand their flood risk beyond just looking at a map. Next slide, please. Here's a current list of NDWR risk map discovery projects. And when I say discovery projects, this is how FEMA goes about updating their national flood hazard layer, so that that's the tool that you're looking at when you want to see whether you're inside a flood zone or not. And there are more discovery mapping projects going on right now, but they're being managed by other entities such as the Carson Water Subconservancy District. Next slide, please. Oh, whoops, one thing disappeared on here. This is from our Nevada flood risk portfolio. And this was a document that was originally made in 2013. So the project is to update it with 2020 information, and make it a digital interface so that you can interact with it. This document will include some of the stuff that Erin was talking about earlier, such as, number of policies and, the policy premiums and things like that. But also, just how many, what floods have happened in that community in the past, and where dams and rivers are. So it's going to have a ton of information. So this slide lost its header too, but that's okay. Excuse me, thank you. So on this slide, on the left, we have an image from the original flood risk portfolio. And what it's showing is the different flood hazard areas throughout the entire state, which that's a lot of information, but we can't, this is just on a piece of paper, so we really can't see a lot of detail. And, you can't say, well, where's my house on there? Or at least not very easily. So on the right is a screenshot of Carson City County, and what you can see on there is the purple pins. They're all dams in the area. You can see rivers. The pink is water bodies. And then the blue and the green are the flood hazard layer. You'd be able to see those better if you zoomed in more. And that is all I have for you guys. I'm going to pass it on to Carlos Rendo, our public outreach manager.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? It's really great to be here with you. We love being there in person. I think Douglas County is a dynamite place to be. And, just being here today is just a really good place to be, and, keep them safe. We do want to start off, I'll just go ahead and say I'm the public outreach manager. Do quite a bit of the outreach in Douglas County. We typically go to schools, we go to outdoor events, social events, and because of COVID, we're going to be transitioning very soon over to virtual classroom educations, and we are preparing some items that are going to be going towards that, which I'll show you in a sec. Next page, please. So one of those is the Flood Fighter Nevada educational video game. It's one of the best in the country. It was prepared by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers with another group we worked with, and it's chock full of wonderful information about dams, reservoirs, soil saturation, and like I said, it's a great game. The kids love it, and it's great as far as educational games are concerned. We also have new story maps that are out, and we've completed this for every region of Nevada, including the Carson River and we are really happy about those. Those are really fun ways to learn about the past history of flooding in Nevada, and especially Carson River and all the flood events through the history that you all could be familiar with. And wonderful product, great images there, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it if you get a chance to look at it. Next page, please. All right, so again, we have a few other tools here that we're using for outreach, and again, because we are transitioning because of COVID, a lot of these are products that we had, but we're really pushing for now. We have virtual reality, which is was created out of Clark County, and essentially it's virtual reality. You click on a YouTube video, you get this 360 panoramic view of what it's like to be stuck in your car during a flash flood event, and your car gets trailed down the ways, and you know, it's fascinating for changing a lot of mindsets when it comes to driving over flooded roads, which is a real problem. And we also have public service announcements, our flood website, nevadafloods.org, where you can find out more about flooding, what to do about flooding, how to prepare, and find that FEMA map service center on there that will help you see if you're in a flood risk area. Next slide, please. And here's our public service announcement. We'll go ahead and let you see just a little bit of that. We are going to be playing this throughout Nevada, so you'll be able to catch this on your local TV stations. And well, there's just a snippet of that. I'm sure you'll see more on your TV screen, and we also have new radio announcements that you might be able to hear on your local radio station. And that's all for flood awareness. And next slide, please. All right, and I do want to say this is Flood Awareness Week, and it's also, you know, an amazing thing that we are able to be here today. In fact, this is the only Flood Awareness Week event that we're going to in all of Nevada, and so congratulations, you're here. We're really happy that we were able to do a part of it, and maybe not in person, but being here any ways we can is just a great thing for us. And next slide, please. Also, I just really quickly want to mention there's a group called the Flood Management Association. It's quite a large entity for flooding professionals, and this group is expanding into Nevada for emerging professionals. It's a smaller group that basically we try to help other folks that are in the floodplain associated fields. If you're relatively new to those professions and you want somebody to talk with, you want webinars to attend, and it's all just the related fields of study, how we can be better at those tasks. And of course, we're starting to offer programs for mentorship, networking, and training, and that's all expanding into Nevada. So if you're interested in that, please do contact me. And my name is Carlos, and information will be at the last slide. Next slide, please. All right, and a big reason why we do come to Douglas County, I mean, hands down, it's one of the prettiest places in all of Nevada. And, you know, there's a lot of risk involved. The sense that it's really beautiful because of those gorgeous mountains. Being so close to those mountains, we're also at risk for having heavy snowfall up there. And if an atmospheric river comes through and melts quite a bit of that snow all at one time, and causes those rivers to really swell up, it can cause devastating floods like they've done in 2017 and 2019. So, yeah, and we also have very dry areas that are nearby. And of course, when those areas burn, like they've done very recently, those areas are also prone to flooding after fire. Essentially, when you get a whole lot of rain over those areas that have that have burned before, changes the characteristic and the potential for big debris flows are really harsh for the first few years. But just to show you this quick statistic here, 30% of the properties in Gardnerville are at risk of flooding, and that's one of the highest proportions in Nevada. And this study was done by the First Street Foundation. It's a national flood risk assessment that was done nationwide. And for Nevada, yeah, it did show that there's a potential for a lot of properties in Gardnerville, particularly, to flood. And that's definitely why we do a lot of outreach for the Douglas County area. And next slide, please. So we do a whole lot of outreach, like I mentioned, and recently we won that Floodplain Management Association Award for outreach and communication for our flood risk awareness team. And that's been for the last couple of years of work where we've done a whole lot of dedicated work to areas all over northern Nevada, but particularly in Douglas County. And we worked with great teams like our friends over at River Wranglers and the Carson Water Subconservancy District. So we're really very proud of that award and very proud of our partnerships that made that happen. And next slide, please. All right, and of course, I just mentioned Carson Water Subconservancy District. For that same group, the Floodplain Management Association, Ed James with CWSD, he actually won the big award for Floodplain Manager of the Year, and a big hearty congratulations to him and all the great work that he's done for Douglas County and all of the Carson Water watershed area. All right, and I believe that's our last slide.
Thank you so much, everybody, for attending our presentation today. Below is the contact info for myself, Sarah, and Carlos. And a big thank you to Douglas County for having us at this event today. Happy Flood Awareness Week, everyone.